Well, the spending of my Christmas money and birthday money continues. I just posted my review of an unboxing for the Draculus Transformer figure, and the Universal Monsters don't stop there because I was finally able to pick up the NECA monsters. So I managed to get all in one fell swoop on a Boxing Day sale. Managed to get the Frankenstein, Wolfman, and the Mummy figures, which I hadn't gotten yet because I was looking forward to actually getting them in my shop. That was one of the first things I wanted to get and to stock at my store, but didn't happen. It didn't happen. I missed because I didn't start the my store soon enough to actually get it on pre-orders. And then Toys R Us, which still exists here in Canada, Toys R Us got them, and so it's like, all right, whatever. So I am hoping that my pre-orders for the Invisible Man figure start coming in because I have seen now on Facebook groups and so on, have seen that that's coming in and people are posting, look what I just got. So it's like, well, I pre-ordered those for my shop, so I really hope they come in anytime soon. But yes, I put in my pre-orders for Invisible Man, Dracula, and Phantom of the Opera, so I'm looking forward to getting those. In the meantime, I finally did get these, which I am happy about, more or less. I mean, they were. I saved half off one of them thanks to the Boxing Day sale. But yeah, I went for the full color versions with the full color boxes. I'm almost a little sad that I'm going to be demolishing these boxes because I collect toys, not boxes. But I mean, beautiful. It's a beautiful box. It's beautiful poster art. That's what it is. Like these are the original movie posters for the Mummy, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman, and so they couldn't have done much worse than to use the original posters on there. But I'll probably be trimming those off and just having those there. But yes, of course, Boris Karloff as the Frankenstein monster. And I'd love that they put in the work to get the real likenesses as well. I know NECA has a reputation for sometimes a little bit shoddy quality control. I experienced that firsthand with some of the Kongs that I bought. But the fact that they're beautifully sculpted figures with the actual likeness it speaks a lot. That's why I chose to go for these instead of the Jada Toys ones. The Jada ones I actually was able to get in my store. Did bring in those, and I have a suspicion that the Jada ones will be. Oh, and there's Larry. I have a feeling that the Jada ones will probably be more likely to have more figures than just sort of the Magnificent Seven, the classic monsters. You know, the Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Wolfman, Mummy, Invisible Man, and Creature in the Black Lagoon. And of course, Nick is adding in the Phantom of the Opera, the original Lon Chaney one, so that's great. So that bumps it up to 8 now. Um, but I kind of suspect that NECA will probably stop there. I think it'd be probably a bit of an ask for them to actually produce like an Igor. Um, my dream would actually be a three figure set of Abbott, Costello, and the Glenn Strange Frankenstein monster. Abbott Costello meets Frankenstein set. Um, but yeah, that Maliva, um, Ardith Bay version of the Mummy, the Karis Mummy, like some of those ones. I don't think NEC is going to bother. Not at a $60 price point per figure. These collector figures, I kind of have a sneaking suspicion they're not going to bother. Maybe they might produce the Metaluna Mutant. That's probably the other big sort of offside one I could see them doing. Maybe Lon Chaney Hunchback as well. Those two are probably the most likely ones. But like a Edward Van Sloan Van Helsing, Bela Lugosi Igor, Abbott and Costello, probably I would say those would probably be a little less likely. Jada Toys, I could see them doing those because they're smaller figures, lower price points, and they're not worrying about getting the official license, like the likenesses. It's just a generic Dracula, generic Frankenstein monster. It looks close, but not like perfect. And actually, I was a little bit up in the air about which ones I wanted to collect because I could get the Jada ones in. The NECA ones seem to be off, who knows where, not in my store. Um, but I thought about, do I want to collect the Jada ones? But then I saw the photos of the Dracula figure with the perfect dead-on likeness of Bela Lugosi. I was like, no, okay, I'm getting the NECA ones. The NECA ones are the ones. That's it. So now I guess what's left here is the unboxing. And I know that I have to be careful with this because it is NECA. So let's, I still have the receipt, so here's hoping the figures aren't, damaged out of the box. Open, says I. If I can. Oh my, well, there we go. We're the box. Okay. Good thing I'm not keeping the box. Okay, so. Anything more? No, don't worry about that. So what do we have here? Oh, on the underside, we've got a stand, which I appreciate. Thank you for that. We've got some. So here we go. We've got some actual. See, I was almost tempted, since I have like swimming Christmas money, to actually get two Wolfmans, because he's got enough parts to actually make a Lawrence Talbot figure in addition to a Wolfman figure. So we've got a stand, we've got the Larry Talbot feet, we've got a bear trap, which is handy there if you want to catch him. We've got the cane, we've got two different heads for the Wolfman, and we got the head for Larry, and a couple different hands as well for Larry. Seeing him with the cane, but not a suit, is a bit strange. Another thing I could think, if NECA were to go the Godzilla route and just keep remaking the same figures over and over and over again, which they kind of seem to be, because, yeah, obviously I went for the full color version instead of the silver screen version. I just felt like, yes, I did do the silver screen paint job on my King Kong model, but if somebody else is doing the painting, I am fine with having a realistic paint job on the classic monsters, and it makes it a little more versatile for display and stuff. Because I actually have an idea of how I want to display these guys. Don't know if that's going to be possible, but monsters and tiki crossing over seems to be a big thing. So I have ideas about how I want to display these guys, especially with Lon Chaney Jr.'s hair looking perfect. Maybe sipping pina coladas in Trader Vic's or what have you. So for that, full color would have been a little more handy. I should really just have gotten snips so I don't have to wrestle with these twist ties here. But let's pull the Wolfman out of here. Okay. Well, at least the packaging is good. All right, there we go. Got him. Liberated the Wolfman. Alright, so there he is. I know to be super duper careful with NECA joints. So, that elbow a little stiff, which isn't too bad if you want to keep his position. Here's his head. I assume that's supposed to come out, so I'm not... Yeah. Nice, there we go. Can do a bit of the splits. That knee joint is a little stiff right now, so I don't want to force it. A little ankle pivot there to help with the posing and the fact that, yeah, he's on his little tippy toes. So that's where the stand is going to come in very handy. So, little stand, which I wish all NECA figures came with. That would be, like, pretty sweet. But I think this one they know because of the way that, he stands like a wolf, right? So not a lot of surface there for him to stand on. So they had the foresight to give him a stand. Little pivot there as well on the calf, because that's also where that's going to pop out to be able to pop in his human feet. So there we go. Just super careful with those limbs. Yeah, there we go. And oh yeah, and he's got a waist swivel as well. I'm sure you've seen plenty of these videos by now. So I'm gonna spare you the drama, and I'm gonna unbox the other ones here, and then move to the close-up figure review on these guys. All right, here they are unboxed. I guess it defeats the point of an unboxing video if you don't actually see me unboxing them. But It took a few minutes, so I went ahead and did it here. I have them all unboxed here. Here is the Frankenstein monster. Of course, the first one that came out a million years ago. You've already watched a million reviews. Um, Again, great figure. I love that it has the actual Boris Karloff likeness. That really has become the make or break for me with these guys. Is does it have the likeness of the actual actor? Little rubber coat here, which is nice. Adds a uh, little bit of change. One thing I'm having a big problem with, what I don't like about NECA figures that I've seen, especially with like Dracula and the Phantom, is that how they have to do the joints looks weird with trousers and clothing that doesn't have a joint in it. You can put joints all over Godzilla, it's fine. Kong, be a little jointy. That was a criticism I had in my review of uh, of the NECA Kong figures. But it's a little bit janky with clothing to have that many joints in it. So having this rubbery sort of coat actually is perfect. Gives it that flexibility, that range of motion, such as it is, um, without looking too jointy. Um, my Frankenstein is a little stiff. Um, his leg joints and this foot especially does not want to move. Like that little bit there is about all it's doing. Um, I don't want to force it because it's a NECA. So I'm sort of trying to work with the options they've given me here for the how he's going to stand. I really need to get my hands on some NECA figure stands to hold these guys up. Or if I'm able to actually do the display I want to do, then he's going to be sitting down anyways, probably. But yeah, that's pretty good. And then he comes with, of course, some different expressions. So stay, stand, hopefully stay. So we got a couple different heads there. His head and his angry head. Which I probably won't use those too much. Some different hands to create some different hands to create some different moods for him there. Also comes with a set of manacles to pop onto those hands in case you want to do reenact a jail scene. Or if he came with a little accessory of a girl to throw into the water, then these daisies would be fine. But such as it is, there we go. We'll give him that one. Moving on to the mummy here, of course, from his most iconic scene, which is about the first 5 minutes of the movie, after which he becomes the Ardeth Bay sort of character and doesn't actually look like the mummy, stereotypical mummy. I'm amused that this is the figure with the most posability out of all three of these guys, because they know that you want to pose him with his arms crossed. So he's in the coffin for thing. So they added he's got this double joint here at the elbow and an elbow swivel, and the hand swivels as well. So you can actually get a semblance of that crossed hands pose with him. The rest is just the usual joints at his knees and on his feet. Again, being a NECA, I'm really cautious about how much I want to maneuver those. The big point here, of course, is you want to reenact the opening scene of the movie. Where, in fact, he's even got a double neck joint here, so that you can get that head resting up against the side of the sarcophagus look that was in the movie, which is pretty ingenious. He also comes with two hands and two heads. Basically, this is different stages of waking up. Do you want his eyes closed, eyes open, or him sort of starting to talk? Whatever, give me the scroll. And, hilariously, this actually includes the box that the scroll came in and a little paper printout of the scroll. The Scroll of Thoth. So you can read that, bring him back to life, there you go. Or reenact the scene, using the figure, reenact the scene where he just goes for a little walk with the scroll, which is, without a doubt, one of the best scenes in the entire Universal Monster canon. If I was going to create an anthology of scariest scenes, that would be at the top of the list. Is when Imhotep the mummy wakes up. We already looked at the Wolfman when I unboxed him and all of his joints. So I don't need to talk about that any further. Good thing he has the stand. The stand actually helps him stand, which is pretty amazing. And here's his different heads. You can give him a Larry head or a snarling wolf head. Bunch of different hands. One that can hold the cane, silver tipped cane, of course, and the different Larry feet, so you can catch him as he's transforming. And again, yeah, these are just fantastic figures to display. I believe I said in my my NECA Kong reviews, fantastic pre-built models with a little bit of posability, so you can get them the way you want them. But yeah, and that's fine. I don't feel an overwhelming need to make my own models for these guys. Maybe someday I'll get the Aurora kits for these different monsters, and do them up to match Kong. I don't know, whatever. It's not high on my list of priorities. Just getting these guys is great, and I'm very much looking forward to getting the Invisible Man, Dracula, and Phantom of the Opera. And then NECA, they've also over Christmas, actually, they were putting out these desktop backgrounds of all their figures of different lines. And they showed photos of their creature and their Bride of Frankenstein. So that would round out the Magnificent Seven, 8 if you also count the Phantom of the Opera. And again, we'll see what happens with the rest of the line once those other ones come out. Once they've exhausted those ones, who will they make? Will they make any more, or will they rest there? If I was going to have my druthers and get the figures that I want, it would be Dr. Pretorius, Bride of Frankenstein, Igor, Bela Lugosi, Igor. It would be that Abbott and Costello with the Glenn Strange Frankenstein figure 3 set. And the Metaluna Mutant would be a good one. And Edward Van Sloan as Dr. Van Helsing. Although they could be ingenious and give him enough accessories to be all 3 of the main characters he played. So his character from The Mummy and his character from Frankenstein, as well as his character in Dracula and Dracula's daughter. Speaking of which, Dracula's daughter would be a good one to have. So would Karis the Mummy. The Creature Walks Among Us would be a good one. The Lon Chaney Hunchback of Notre Dame. Although, if they also wanted to expand beyond strictly Universal monsters, like they've already have announced Nosferatu and Lon Chaney Sr. From London After Midnight. If they wanted to go further with that, I think the Frederick March, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde would be an essential one. And the Charles Lawton Hunchback, 1939. I think those would be like the essential non-universal monster figures to make, because they are, again, just such classic versions. They're sort of like, you have the Universal Monsters franchise, and they are what they are. But you have these ones that are sort of like Universal Monster movies in spirit, if not in fact. So Island of Lost Souls would be one. Frederick March, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And the 1939 Hunchback of Notre Dame with Charles Lawton. King Kong is sort of grandfathered in as being being a universal monster in spirit, if not in fact. Slightly lesser extent, Bela Lugosi, White Zombie, would be another one. But there's so many Universal figures that they could do that I really hope they do them. But we'll see. One thing that would suggest to me probably not is that they are really leaning into these guys as diorama pieces, because they actually come with accessories. They don't come with, but they have accessory sets out there. They weren't at the Toys R Us where I bought these guys, so I don't know. I did put in my quasi pre-orders, my late pre-orders for them at my store. But yeah, Frankenstein monster, he has the operating table and the accessories that come with his creation scene. The mummy here has the sarcophagus that he can fit into, has a lid. In fact, that might be it on the box, actually. They probably just photographed it for the backdrop here. Wolfman doesn't have one because he's just the Wolfman, a forest scene. The Dracula figure has one that has the coffin and has the different animals that his bride's turned into. Um, and one would assume that for the Phantom of the Opera, they would have one with an organ, like the organ in his lair, maybe the box with like the scorpion, turn the scorpion scene. We'll see what they come up with for the Phantom of the Opera. That's my wish list. As it is, though, for what we have, these are amazing figures. Of course, they're NECAs, so they look good, even if I'm a bit scared to try and play with some of their joints for fear that I'm going to snap the Frankenstein monster's foot right off. But yeah, fun to photograph and fun to diorama. They look amazing. That's what really sells these figures. So yeah, there you go.